As we move on into our second class, again, some give and take on the different types and kinds in this particular class, but the young man with the bluegill is going to win pretty comfortably, in my opinion. One that's really opened up and robust through her center rib design, comes with more just sheer, genuine weight power coming and going. Is she a little bit pushing the edges in terms of where her condition is? Want to just slim her up just a tick, but I think today she's market ready, and she comes with some of those extras that we look for in terms of stoutness and width. The young man that follows him is one that's got some frame, got some growth in terms of where he's at today. For me, she just gets too flat and plain in her overall muscle pattern. Just want to ply her apart and level her out in her design to move her on up.
Receiving purple is Hunter Riley, and receiving a red is Joseph Roberts. Now we'll have the final drive for the champion market gilt with Hadley Riley and Hunter Riley.
Market gilt numbers may not have been super high today, but I still think we have some quality when we get it back out here with our two class winners. They're definitely different in terms of where they're at and finish. We got one that I think could use some more time on feed and able to just grow into her skeleton. I think another one is probably pushing the limits in terms of finish, but today I think she is the most market ready, the most genuine in her makeup. The young man out of our second class will be your champion. Young man out of our lightweight class will be reserved.
Receiving grand champion market gilt is Hunter Riley, and that is donated by Kruger Seeds. And receiving reserve champion market gilt is Hadley Riley, and that is donated by Brooks Farm Inc. And we will take pictures at the backdrop after the show. And Hunter Riley's pig will come back for the overall champion market swine at the end of our market show. Our next class is our Class 1 Market Barrow with Lillian Howe with a pig of 246, Cooper Avey with a pig of 248 pounds, Hunter Riley with a 261 pounder, and Brody Schaff with a 264 pounder. Oh, mistake. Cooper's is not in this one. Sorry.
Great way to start our barrow class today with the young man with this kind of spotted hog to win this particular class. One that handles the drive relatively comfortably for me. He's the squarest in coming and going, the most expressive in his muscle pattern, the widest coming and going. I'd still like to expand on his top shape right at the top of his blade and just clean him up at the top of his pole ever so slightly, but really a problem-free, really complete type of hog to win this particular class. The young man with the blue speckled hog is going to go ahead and go second. One that I think closely matches our champion in terms of being level in his design, having some extra in terms of stoutness and power. He's fighting a little bit of an injury or a sickness today here on that neck. And one that I think where he really separates himself is coming right at you. He really wants to close in his lower skeleton. Just want to ply him apart there, make him more genuine when he's coming right at me. And the young lady that rounds out this class, one hog that has some frame, has some growth, comfortable on his feet and legs, just needs to be more expressive and wide throughout.
Receiving a purple is Brody Schaff, and receiving a blue is Hunter Riley. Receiving a red is Lillian Howe. All right, our Class 2 market barrows are Hazley Riley, Alexis Lawman, Brody Schaff, and Margaret Roberts, and these pigs weigh 265 pounds to 271 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah, that is bent to Holy Hill now. Yeah, I know. I know she does.
First call for group 3, Market Barrow.
Another nice class of market barrows, and you get down to the top end, and it comes down to the all-black hog and the young man's hog that's not wanting to just quite be a show pig today. We kind of talk about them as individuals. I think they both need to be rearranged in their rear leg structure. I think they're both pushing the corners on where you consider ideal and being a little bit outside their skeleton, a little bit more swelling in those rear hocks. So you take that out of the equation. I think there's one that's just more attractive through his front 2/3, comes at you more opened up and genuine, leveler in his design. He maybe is having a terrible attitude out here today, but I still think he's the best one in this particular class, and that's the young man over up against the gate to win this particular class. And not to take away from the young lady in second with this all-black hog, because I do appreciate how this one's got a little bit better attitude. But like I mentioned, I'd still like to rearrange his rear two, level him out through his hip, and when he's coming right at you, he wants to concave in his lower skeleton. Doesn't have as just sheer muscle expression when you get right on top of him, compared to our class winner as well. The young lady and the pen going out to the corner right there is one that is just a really kind of problem-free type of hog to have in home for a 4-H project. One that's not screwed up in his feet and legs, plenty level in his design. Today he just gives up some of that extras in terms of power and punch compared to the ones that go above him. And the young lady that rounds out the class, one hog that has some frame, sound, just needs to be more expressive in his muscle pattern and wider throughout.
All right, receiving first purple is Brody Schaff. Receiving second purple is Alexis Lahman. Receiving a blue is Hazley Riley. And receiving a red is Margaret Roberts. All right, our class 3 is Margaret Roberts, Cash Jones, and Hadley Riley, and Cooper 80. And these pigs range from 278 to 289 pounds. Well, first call for your class 4.
Yep, 3 purples, 2 reds, sorry. Definitely some give and take on this top end, and I won't argue with you if you want to beat my class winner in one particular area, because I think he does need to be picked on in that one area. But that being said, he's still the widest when you get on top of him. He's the biggest in his rear leg, especially the stoutest in his feature. He's got the biggest top when you get right on top of him. And I'm not going to say he's perfect. He's got a little bit of a lymph node issue right behind that sheath, but that's getting awfully picky on the young man in the corner that's going to have your class champion. Now, there's no doubt that the young man right here in front of me has the fresher option, a really comfortable, problem-free type of hog. Definitely no issues in his structure. For me, though, when you compare him to our class winner and you get right on top of him, he's simply just not as wide at the top of his blade and doesn't have that advantage all the way back as our class winner does. The young man with the all-white hog is one that I think his better days were probably about 10 pounds behind him, and no shade to him, my best days were probably about 10 pounds behind me as well. So, but that being said, he's just carrying a little too much extra cover than what I consider ideal today, but functional in his rear legs, pliable through his center body, just need to clean up some of that extra fat that he's carrying. Young lady here with the belted hog going across the ring, 1 that's got some frame, functional on his sound and on his feet. Just need to make him wider and more expressive. Similar sentiments for the young lady in the corner. One that I think maybe just gave up a little bit extra of that frame, carrying a little bit more extra coverage today as well.
Receiving first purple is Cooper Avey, and receiving second purple is Cash Jones. Also receiving a purple is Hadley Riley. Receiving reds are Margaret Roberts with her 2 pigs. And our last class of market barrel will be Joseph Roberts and Grant Lawman with pigs weighing 299 and 337.
They're coming up. I think I got my steps in already. Why didn't you ask them? Technically,
As we round out our barrows, we start with the young man's all black hog that, simply put, just comes with more extras in terms of extra width, extra expression in his muscle pattern, extra stoutness of feature. Be curious to see what he looks like compared to our other class winners here in a minute. The young man on the far end with kind of that blue hog is one that definitely has some frame, has great growth for this young man. Simply put, gives up some of those extras that we talk about in terms of width and power up high.
All right, so first purple in that class is Grant Lawman, and receiving a red is Joseph Roberts. And now we will have the class winners from each of the market barrel classes. So we'll have Brody Schaff, Cooper Avey, and Grant Lawman. Brody Schaff's pig out of the first class weighs 264 pounds. His pig out of the second class weighs 269 pounds. Cooper's pig weighs 289 pounds, and Grant Lawman's pig weighs 337 pounds.
Well, let's give these young men a big round of applause. A really great representation of our Market Hog class today. Definitely some great quality in these class winners. And just to talk them all as individuals as they came out in no particular order, the young man out of our first class is one that started the day really comfortably for me. One that's really comfortable in his feet and legs. One that's fresh enough today. One that has some width, has some power. Now that being said, I think compared to another one out here, he's not just as expressive or as impressive when you get right on top of him. I'd still like to clean him up at the top of his neck, and when he's coming right at me, he wants to close in his chest ever so slightly, but sound, functional, level in his design. Another one out of our class too is one that was really, really ripped and opened up, and like I mentioned in class, I'd still like to rearrange his rear leg structure. He gets a little bit out there when you get in right behind him, has some swelling on those rear hocks, just again, really fresh, really powerful on top of him, just need to rearrange his skeleton just ever so slightly. Young man out of our third class is one that you get him out here and he is the stoutest in his feature, the boldest when you get right on top of him, and really stays, for as much power as he's packing, stays relatively square as he's going away. I won't say that he's the prettiest up through his head and neck, and I won't say that I wouldn't want to clean up his right behind his sheath just a tick. But comparatively, he has the EST advantages when we get out here. Just need to clean him up ever so slightly. And the young man out of our last class with the all black hog, one that comes with some stoutness, some power, maybe gets a little bit loose in his spine, and I'd like to just strengthen him up there and extend him through his front 1/3. When you get him right behind him again, gets a little bit east and west instead of north and south in terms of his leg placement, but a really fresh, expressive type of hog. That being said, you put all those things together, I think it comes down to a pair of them. One, I think, just simply out-horses the rest. The young man out of our third class will be your champion barrow.
Receiving grand champion market barrel is Cooper Avey, and that is donated by Kruger Seeds. Coming second out of that class is Cash Jones.
As we bring out the second in this class, I like a lot of things about this hog. He's short back, he's really square when he's coming right at you. He's really, really fresh in his overall appearance. Front 2/3, I like a lot about this guy. When we get in right behind him, gets a little bit out there, unquestionable in his hog placement. However, that being said, I think he closely matched our champion in terms of that extra freshness, being square and genuine. He's the second best in this division. He'll be your reserve barrow today.
Reserve champion market barrel goes to Cash Jones, and that is donated by Smith Waste Solutions. We will now have the judge select our overall champion market swine between Cooper Avey and Hunter Riley's market gilt. This market swine will go to the Southwest Iowa Shootout, which I believe is July 30th at West Fair. If you've never been up there, it's really cool to go up and see and watch a lot of great livestock from Southwest Iowa. So Cooper Avey and Hunter Riley will both compete for this overall champion market swine.
give our our gender champions, I guess, a big round of applause. Really great market hog show today. Numbers may not have been as super high, but I still think we represent a lot of quality when we get them all back out here. We compare these to the gilt and the barrow, and I think they're similar in their weight. I think they're similar in terms of being opened up and having some power. I think it gets down to kind of personal preference and how you want them to look at this point. There's one that I think is just super attractive through their front 1/3, really just outshines in terms of the extra stoutness that he has. And that being said, the young man's barrow will be your champion today. We bring out the reserve from our barrow division, and not only was that division one of our toughest divisions today, I also think it's the closest division today. The young man that's going to be our reserve barrow will be our reserve market hog today as well.
Receiving grand champion overall market swine and going to the Southwest Iowa Shootout is Cooper Avey, and that is donated by Fremont Mills FFA. And receiving the overall reserve champion market swine is Cash Jones, and that is donated by McIntyre Real Estate LLC. Next up, we're going to do our pin of 3, and we have 2 pins of 3. We have Joseph Roberts and Margaret Roberts with a pin of 3.
Are you going to be doing the carcass results after that as well?
Our winner circle banner that they'll take pictures in front of is donated or sponsored by Johnson Family Seed.
You guys have a perfect morning. Did you guys get storms last night, or?
And the horse show was yesterday, and it was kind of looking stormy all day, but it seemed like it was okay.
You guys have a rodeo during the fair too, or?
Our Mississippi Rodeo is at the beginning of August.
Oh, okay.
We'll do a first call for your first class of commercial gilt.
Let's give our Penna 3 entries a big round of applause. It's hard enough to show one pig at a time, and these kids are doing 3, so that takes some extra skills as well. When I go and evaluate Penna 3 classes, just to kind of pick my brain of what I look for, I want to take ones that, if I were to duplicate these 3 hogs 500 times and clear out a finishing barn and take them to St. Joe or where have you, which Penna 3 duplicated 1,500 times is going to make me the most profitable. And when I mean profitable, I mean we're paid on pounds and similarities. We want them all to be the same size, consistency, and have that extra leanness value. That being said, I think there is a Penna 3 out here that are really kind of cookie cutters of each other in terms of size and where they are in terms of their extra condition. And today I think they actually have the leanness value as well. And that's the young ladies Penna 3 that's going to be your champion Penna 3 today. Young man's Penna 3 definitely has the extra weight advantage. Unfortunately, I think it comes with just a little bit extra covering. But again, very similar in their type and kinds. Just need to add a little bit more leanness value today for this judge.
Our grand champion, Penna 3, goes to Margaret Roberts, and that is donated by Corey and Jamie Avey. And our reserve champion, Penna 3, goes to Joseph Roberts, and that is donated by Gubser Generation Farms, Inc. All right, it looks like we're ready to start our commercial gilt show. Class 1, we have Cash Jones, Jaden Schaff, Lillian Howe, and Cooper Avey.
as we move on into our guilds, we definitely have some different types and kinds out here in our first class. That being said, I still think there's one that is square coming and going and comes with some of those extras in terms of width and power and more genuine at the ground, and that is a young man's belted gilt to win this particular class. I don't think her end game is today. I'd still like to see her just push on feet a little bit more and make her a little bit soggier through that lower body, but one that I think today is really fresh and has those extras in terms of breeding value. The young man with the red hog is one that I love this one from the side. She is probably extra pliable through the center rib. She gets a little bit straighter off of her front end for me, and really where I want to just really pick on her is just ply her apart in her lower skeleton and make her more genuine as her width up high. Young man with kind of this black-legged gilt is one that is really immature at this stage in the game, comes with some extras in terms of power. For me, I just want to really push her on feet and let her grow up and kind of blend in that ham-loin junction and level her out through her hip. And the young lady's blue gilt that rounds out the class is one that's plenty pliable through the center rib, has some just extension. For me, though, just gives up too much in terms of extras in width and power.
Receiving first purple in that class is Cooper Avey. Receiving second purple is Jaden Schaff. Also receiving a purple is Cash Jones. Receiving a red is Lillian Howe. Next up, we'll have our Class 2 of Commercial Gilt. In this class, we have Hadley Riley, Jaden Shaw, and Margaret Roberts. We have some spicy pigs out here this morning. If you're looking for more fun, stick around for the sheep show, which is at 2 p.m., and the goat show will follow that at 3:30 p.m. And then tonight is the fair meals sponsored by First National Bank at 5:30, and come enter the corn eating contest at 6. There's some really cool trophies and banners if you win. And then Share the Fun will follow that with our cornhole tournament and the music by Travis Hensley. So join us for a fun day. First call for Class 3 Commercial Gilt if you're not already up here. First call for Class 3.
Another nice class of commercial gilts, and the young man's belted gilt, is going to win this particular class. She comes with the most extras in terms of just having a giant foot size on both her front and her back. Stout in her forearm. I love how fresh she is and bold she is in her upper rib design. If I want to get nitpicky on her, she's pushing the corners on where she wants to put that left hock and right hock. We're going to square her up just a tick right there, but the amount of extras that she has adds a lot of breeding value to this particular class. The young man's blue hog is just not wanting to be a show pig today. I think homegirl probably likes her afternoon walks versus her morning walks, but she's getting out there and doing her best, and young man staying calm with her. She's really pliable through her center rib design. Really appreciate just how much sogginess she has through there. For me, I want to clean her up and make her more attractive through her front 1/3 and make her more genuine in terms of her width at the ground, matching her width up high. And the young lady's off-belted gilt that rounds out this class. Plenty of center rib, plenty of frame, just gives up some of the extras that the Class 2 above her have.
Receiving first purple is Jaden Schaff. Receiving blue is Hadley Riley. And receiving a red is Margaret Roberts. Next up, we'll have our final class of commercial gilts. A big thank you to our superintendents, Jeremy Walter and Steve Howe, and all the people in the back that are helping us get pigs up here today. Thank you. All right, our final class of commercial gilts are Cooper Avey, Alexis Lawman, and Grant Lawman.
As we round out our guilt division, really some give and take. I don't think any of these guilts are perfect, and they definitely need fixed in an area or two. That being said, I think there's one that from the front 2/3 is really an attractive type of hog, comes with some extras in terms of pliability. She is, when you get in right behind her, the square is coming and going. I really need to clean her up in her lymph node, though. Gotta clean her up there and freshen her up. But that being said, that's getting picky on one that just comes more comfortably in her package today. And that's the young man in the middle of the ring to win this particular class. It gets really close for second and third, and based off of their ear notches and guessing that these are brother and sisters, I think these might be litter mates, and just based on color and notches alone, I could be wrong though, but definitely very similar in their type and kind. That being said, I think there's one that's just leveler out through her hip, one that's just square when you get in right behind her, and that is the young man's guilt to go ahead and go second. One, again, gets a little bit more forward at her shoulder angle compared to our class winner. I'd like to push her back there and make her more extended through her front 1/3, but one that's definitely packed with lots of power. And the young lady that rounds out this class one, really stout in her skull. I love her extra foot size and just sheer power. For me, she gets a little bit more shorter and rounder out of her hip, and consequently starting to push out in her hop when you get in right behind her. But again, a really nice, powerful type of female to round out this division.
Receiving first purple for Avi. Receiving first blue is Grant Lawman, and receiving a blue is Alexis Lawman. Coming out to be chosen for Grand Champion Commercial Gilt will be your first from each class. So we have from the first class, Cooper Avey, from the second class, Jaden Schaff, and from the third class, Cooper Avey.
All right, kids, you can let them rest real quick. I just want to take some time and say thank you again to the Fremont County Fair and Extension for having me come back down and work with your kids. I know when I'm talking to each of these kids individually, it adds a little bit more time to our show, especially during the heat of the day. But I still think it's really important to get that one-on-one interaction with these kids, because it is the whole point of a county fair to have a learning experience, and I want to be able to have those kids have that time to take that learning experience. And kids, I just want to leave you with a couple of words of when you leave this fair, I think there are 3 things that you gain from showing livestock, and it's the 3 most important things that I hope that you take today and apply not just out in the barn, but through the rest of your life. Number 1 is to be humble. Don't take your wins for granted. Those can be all taken away in a second, and then at the end of the day, do the banners really do much besides collect dust? No. But be willing to learn more and be humble with where you're at and how you got there. My second piece of advice is to be motivated. If you didn't like how you were placed today, or you want to be better at something, find the kids that are doing what you want to be doing and how you want to be performing, and learn from them, and take what learning and take that drive and push it towards your motivation and stay motivated. And then the last piece that I want you all to take home today, and I think it's the most important piece, is to be kind. Right now in the world, there is just a time for kindness. You never know what's going on in someone else's life. So the opportunity that you have to be kind, not just to each other and to your friends and your family, but the strangers at the grocery store or your service workers, take that time and be kind. So the 3 most important things today that I want you to take away and apply, not just in the barn, but throughout the rest of your life, is to stay humble, stay motivated, and stay kind. Again, I think your kids did a great job today. I think they've grown in the past year for sure, just in terms of showmanship and quality, and I really love to see that change over the year. we get these gilts out here and kind of talk them as individuals. I think there's one that came out of the first class. She's really immature yet in her size, and I think that's okay. She's really a safe option today in terms of where she's at and where she places her hog placement. She's the squarest and still attractive and fresh. Is she the most fluffy today? No, but I think that's okay given her age and size. The young man out of our second class is one that's just kind of the powerhouse of the division, one that's really, really stout. I love her foot size. I love the extra rib that she has. For me, though, I question her structure. She gets a little bit softer on those front feet coming and going, and when you get in right behind her, I just want to square her up in her hock ever so slightly. But if you want to call that one the freak of the division, I wouldn't argue with you there. And the young man that rounded out our third class is one. Love the front 2/3 of this one. I think, though, her better days might have been behind her, especially when she blew that lymph node, but really stout, powerful female that's bold in her upper rib and has some look up front. Just a little bit needs to be cleaned up when you get in right behind her. That being said, it kind of pushes between my head of going with the safe option and going with the questionable one. Today, I'm going to play it safe. The young man out of our first class will be your champion gilt today. We bring out the red hog out of that class, and one that we talked about getting a little bit more straighter off both ends, not as just opened up and pliable. I think there's another one out here that we talk about going back and forth in my head, and the one that I think just offers a lot of good to make barrows, just want to pick her apart in her structure just a tick. The young man out of our second class will be your reserve gilt today.
Receiving grand champion commercial gilt is Cooper Avey, and that is donated by Darwin and Sandy Bug. And that gilt will also go to the Southwest Iowa Shootout on July 30th. Receiving reserve champion commercial gilt is Jaden Schaff, and that is donated by...
I think it was Brody.
Oh,
Am I wrong?
no, Jaden.
Okay, sorry.
And that is donated by Brandon and Megan Schaff. Next up, we are going to bring out our grand and reserve champion carcass swine. So our grand champion carcass swine is Jaden Schaff with tag number 8025. That is donated by Knockins Family Cattle Co. And our reserve champion carcass swine is Brody Schaff. That's donated by First Express Insurance, and that's with his pig 8010. Receiving purples and carcass are Grant Lawman, Alexis Lawman, Cooper Avey, and Hazley Riley. Receiving blues are Cooper Avey, Cash Jones, Margaret Roberts, Hadley Riley, Joseph Roberts, Lillian Howe, Hunter Riley, Joseph Roberts, and Margaret Roberts. Our final award of the day is the top rate of gain swine, and that is to Joseph Roberts with pig 8003. That pig daily rate of gain is 2.26, and that award is donated by First Express Insurance. Once again, a huge thank you to Caitlin Kaler for coming down here from KC and judging our show and taking the time with the kids and everyone that helped. So thank you for attending our 2023 swine show.